much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Shanker, I wanted to go back to one of the things you talked about. You said that they want to show inclusivity, but nothing has been done yet. But my understanding is that you have the Minister of Labor and Social Affairs, Hein Kabawat, who is Christian. You have Amjad Beder, who is the Minister of Agriculture, who is Druze. So would you like to kind of restate what you meant by that statement, just to be clear?
Yeah, thank you, Congressman. I was talking about if you look at overall composition of the government between, for example, men and women, and also if you look at what these communities said after the constitutional meetings and the consultations about whether their inputs were appreciated, taken into consideration, incorporated into the draft documents. I think that there was a lot of complaints from the communities.
But speaking on the documents, I mean, in 2025, under al-Shara, he signed an agreement with the Druze representatives from Soweto province, which integrated the Druze into the entire state institutions. So this is obviously a very pivotal step, something that not even Assad or any of the others were willing to do. And in talking about inclusivity, as you know, even some of our own allies are just now starting to incorporate women into the ministries, ambassadorial positions, et cetera, based on cultural understandings and nuances. You also mentioned the IAEA, which is a very important part, but OPCW, who is actually the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, has been in there on multiple occasions inspecting every single one of the actual sites, and to include 22 sites just in the last week and a half, and how they would actually look at safely. This is the key thing. People think that you can just go ahead and pick up these chemicals and just toss them out in the trash and we're going to be good. But safely be able to dispose of this so they can't be utilized in the future. We also talked about, and I agree with this, this is going to be one of those relationships that we have to not only be cautious of based on backgrounds and past experiences, but it's going to be a trust but verify relationship. And we know that very well in any conflict, post-conflict areas. But if we took the broad brush approach that someone's past therefore defines their future, we wouldn't have alliances with Japan and Germany to this day. And so I think that we need to keep this in mind, because what I have seen so far is the current administration there has not only partnered with Iraq CTS of the U.S. to help continue counter ISIS operations, they have not only continued to stop the illicit weapons transfers of Hashd al-Shabi and the Assad al-Haq Iranian regime-backed militia groups through Syria into Lebanon to be utilized attack, but just today, 15 anti-tank guided missiles and 30 crates of heavy caliber ammunitions that was concealed by smugglers in a truck headed to Hezbollah was blocked and prevented from being able to be utilized by Israel, against Israel. So I say this to explain that not actually looking at a way to try and work with the Syrian people to get an inclusive, democratically elected, free Syrian government only opens the door for our adversaries like Russia, who, when I spoke with President al-Shara, said that he already had a proposal on the table by Russia that they were demanding that be signed. And he refused because he said, I would rather partner with the West and start developing our nation. When he talked about Iran, he said that we've not only pushed Iran out, but we will never allow Syria to be a proxy state of Iran. They can have a diplomatic opening of their consulate or their embassy, but we will even limit the number of visas for Iranians to come here because we know their influence operations and their capabilities. This is a man who fought in combat in both the good side and the bad side. So he understands how these operations work. So what would be a greater risk? Not looking to work with Syria and make them an ally and help the regional stability and protect the great state of Israel, or to allow them to fall into the hands of the predatory manners of Russia and Iran and China?
Congressman, I agree with you wholeheartedly. As I said earlier, the chemical weapons, the WMD, the IAEA, the counterterrorism cooperation, these are high points. I think there is some criticism on the inclusivity part, but I'm all for working with this government. This is the only game in town, and it's our opportunity to lose. So we should be on the ground floor.
And I think that not even allowing China into the palace, which is something that he's done, shows even a further desire to work with the West. I think that helping to establish good neighbors, as Robert Frost, the good fences make good neighbors relationship with Israel, will protect our allies there. And I think that people understand that if you study the geopolitics of the Middle East, making sure Syria is stable will ensure that we can have a stable Middle East, which was President Trump's America First agenda and promise. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. With that, I yield back.